Hello and welcome to this section on strings. In this section, you will be learning what is a string, how to create, access and modify a string, and some of the operations that can be performed on a string. So what is a string? String is a sequence of characters that are enclosed within single or double quotes. Now what is a character? Characters could be just about anything. It could be an alphabet, it could be a number, or it could also be special characters. Now special characters are characters such as the dollar symbol, the pound symbol, and so on. So any character enclosed within a single or double quotes is called a string. Now let's go ahead and implement strings in Python. Let's get started by opening Python's idle environment. So what is the syntax to define a string? A string is defined within a pair of double quotes or single quotes. So my syntax would look like a string variable, an assignment operator, and my string in a pair of double quotes, or I could also have it in a pair of single quotes. Now note that this statement has started with the pound symbol, which means it is a comment and not a part of my code. So to take an example, let's say I want to store the name of a fruit. So I have my variable name fruit and my string name within a pair of double quotes. And then at any point of time when I say the value, or rather the variable fruit, it should return to me the name of the fruit, which is apple. Strings are stored as a sequence of characters, and each character is accessed by what we call as an index. Let's see what that is. Now this string which we have, apple, is stored as a sequence of characters as APPLE, and each character is associated with an index value starting from 0, which means the first character A has the index value 0, the next character P has an index value 1, and so on. The final index value would be the length of the string minus 1. The length of the string is nothing but the number of characters of your string. So in this string I have APPLE, which is 5, and the last character of my string would have the index value n minus 1, which is 5 minus 1, 4. So if I say the character at the index position 4, that should return 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, the value e. Now let's see how that works. So I give the name of my variable, which is fruit, and then the index is specified within a pair of square brackets. So within a pair of square brackets, I enter the index value. Say I need the first character, so I give the index position 0. So that should return A. And similarly, to get the last character, I give the last position, which is 4, and it gives me E. Now what if I enter a value that is beyond the range? Well, that would definitely result in a syntax error. Let's check what that error is. So if I define beyond the range of 0 to 4, that would give me a string index out of range. Now, like positive indices, you also have negative indices. Now, when you start counting from 0, it starts the count from beginning of the string. But when you start with a negative index, it starts counting from the end of the string. So as we saw, fruit of 4 returns the value e. Another way to access the last character is to have a negative index. So if I say fruit and if I specify the index value as -1, it would return the last character of my string, which is E. Similarly, if I enter fruit and -2, it would return the value L, which is the last second character. Now, a common problem that you might come across while defining a string is the usage of single quote or double quote. Now, what if you wanted to have the string called string is one among Python's data types? Note the apostrophe as a part of your string. Let's see how that is being treated when you define a string in Python. So I have my string name, let me just call it string, and I enter the string within a pair of single quotes. So that would be string is one among Python's data types. Now let's see what happens. So what happened in the string was, though apostrophe was supposed to be a part of our string, the special property of the single quote has ended the string than to consider it as a part of our string. So our string has been considered as string is one among Python and the rest of it was just discarded. So how do we overcome this problem? We have two ways in which we can overcome this problem. The first way is to use a double quote instead of a single quote. Let's see how that works. So that would be start my string with a double quote and then continue my string as it is. So what happens in this case is, since you have started your string with a double quote, Python would look for another double quote to end the string. Now since the part of your string is a single quote, that does not end your string there. Instead, it ends the string when it finds a double quote. So now when you print your string, it should work just fine. Now what if you wanted to start your string with a single quote and not a double quote, but still use that apostrophe as a part of your string? In that case, we use a mechanism called escaping. Let's see what that is. So I start my string with a single quote, and then what I will do now is to escape the special property of the single quote. The special property of a single quote in Python is to start or end a string. What we will be doing now is to escape that property and treat it as a single quote itself and not a special property. So in order to do that, just before you enter your single quote, you enter a backslash and then enter your single quote. So what happens when you enter a backslash is it does not treat the character after the backslash as a special character. Instead, it just treats it as a normal character. And then I continue with the rest of my string. Now I end it with a single quote, and now when I print my string, it should work just fine, which is string is one among Python's data types. I missed out typing an S, but as you can see, the single quote has been taken as a part of your string without any trouble. Next, what we will be looking at is the string formatting in Python. To understand what that is, let's go ahead and print a string. Let's say I have a string, Python is a great programming language for beginners. Now what I want to do is replace this word Python with a variable. I want my Python to be stored in a variable, and that variable name should be a part of my string. So in order to do that, let me first create a variable called programming language and store the value Python in it. So on printing programming language, I now have Python, and now what I will be doing is replace the word Python in my string with programming language. So in order to do that, I go ahead and enter the name of my variable, which is programming language, and then continue with the rest of my string. Now what we want our output here to be is the programming language needs to be replaced by Python, and our output has to be Python is a great programming language for beginners. But what happens is the programming language has been considered as a part of your string and it was printed as it is. Now what do we do when we want to include a variable name as part of our string? That's where string formatting comes into picture. So if I need to do that, what I should be doing is to enter a pair of curly braces, which will be a placeholder for my variable name programming language, and then enter the rest of my string. Next, what I will do is have a dot format and then enter the name of your variable, which is programming language. So what this will do is the curly brace which you had used as a placeholder for your variable name, the variable name mentioned in your format function will go in that place. Now on execution of this, we get the output Python is a great programming language for beginners. So that's how string formatting works in Python. Now to understand how to modify a string, it's pretty simple. Let's go back to our previous string fruit, which has the value apple. Now if you want to modify the string, all you have to do is have an assignment operator and change its value. Say I change it to mango. Now on printing fruit, the previous value has been modified to mango. So that's the end of this lecture. You learned how to create, access and modify a string, and you also learned the string formatting in Python. In the next lecture, we will be learning about the different operations that can be performed on strings. I'll see you there. Thank you.